Let's begin by going to Google and searching for MySQL. From there, let's go to the MySQL website. Click Downloads, MySQL Community Downloads, and then MySQL Installer for Windows. With the Microsoft Windows operating system selected, click Download. And then you'll get to this page. You don't need to log in or sign up. Just hit No Thanks, Start My Download. Now let's go ahead and open the installer package. Click Yes, and then Yes. We have a few options when it comes to setup type. We have server only. This just installs the server, the MySQL server. We have client only, that installs the shell, router, and workbench. Then we have full. Consider this a combination of the server and client. Then we have custom. Custom is a little bit different. You can select each application as well as its version, allowing you to mix and match. For instance, I can install this version of the server with a different version of the workbench. Let's go back and do the full install. Click Execute to download all of the files. And I got some errors, so let's go back and then next and execute again to get the rest of the files. There we go. Let's go ahead and execute the install. Click Next. And now our products are ready to configure. Click Next. Now when it comes to the configuration type, we have a couple options: development, server, and dedicated. Development uses less resources, server will say medium, and dedicated uses more. The server computer is where you'll have multiple services running, such as a web service, mail service, and SQL service. A dedicated computer is where SQL will be the only service running on that computer, thus getting more resources. A development computer uses minimal resources and is usually used by developers, where they're coding and using a backend server such as SQL to connect to. Let's leave the default port 3306 as is and make sure that we check Open Windows Firewall. We'll use strong password encryption for authentication and not legacy, unless you are using MySQL for a legacy application that requires older authentication. Click Next. Here we'll enter the root password for MySQL. This is the administrator password. Now let's go ahead and add a user. Put in my name. For hosts, we can select all hosts, connect from anywhere, or localhost, which is only this machine, and select the role. I'll select dbadmin. Then I'll enter my credentials. Click OK, then Next. Here we can configure MySQL as a Windows service and also choose to start that service as system startup. I'll choose to leave it off, since this is a development system. Click Next. Here we'll grant full access to the user running the Windows service and click Next. And then click Execute to write all of the configuration changes. And then click Finish. Click Next to go to the router configuration and Finish. We'll pretty much skip that as we won't be discussing that in this course. Click Next to load the samples and examples. You'll need to provide the root password you set up earlier. Click Next, and then Execute. Click Finish, and then Next. I'll uncheck the box to start Workbench and Shell after setup, and then click Finish. Let's go and open Task Manager so we can see that the MySQL service is running. There it is. Let's go to the Start menu and open MySQL Workbench. Let's go ahead and connect to the server with our root password to make sure we can make that connection. There we go, we were able to connect. As we see, we have the Administration tab and the Schemas tab. If we go to the Schemas tab, we should see under World, Tables, and we'll see the sample data that we loaded.